Welcome to a new video on my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're talking about an amplifier again, and I've got it right here on the table. It's an amplifier from the company Audison. You might know it if you're a bit active in the scene. It's truly a company I've known since I started. The last time I dealt with one, but it's been a really long time since I've had an Audison amplifier. And my current wife, VR203, she brought it into the relationship. So that was really a nice piece of amplifier technology that the guys had put together. And yes, I actually got something now in the box. There it is. This is an Audison Forza M6D. What is that? This is a 6-channel amplifier. 6-channel amplifier, fully bridgeable, digital, small. I would say let's unpack the fun and take a look at it. There it is, let's quickly unpack it. I unpacked it, and what can you say? So yeah, the amplifier is also used. So a colleague sent it to me and said, hey, take a look at this. Maybe that's something for you. Make a video about it and then we'll see. That's why it's here now. It's not mine. I didn't buy it. It was just provided to me for testing. That's why it's already used. You can see here on the corresponding wires, yeah, they have already been stripped and so on and so forth. But still, I really have to say, I've already taken apart a few amplifiers. What does taken apart mean? Unpacked. And this one has a really very good range. Just about the things that came with it. I look at, here are these are probably the RCA inputs that we have here, or outputs, whatever you want to call them. Those are the preamp inputs, right there. Here we have a fitting lid on each one. They never used a really snug fitting lid. Apparently they have really never been used. I can't handle it right now. But nicely twisted cables, nice connectors. So really nicely packaged individually. Really cool. We have terminal sleeves. Yes, great. I don't need to buy any. That's nice. We have 2 spare fuses. We have screws. I'm not exactly sure how to attach this amplifier here based on the length of the screws. So here, as in the video before, you screw the amplifier down through the holes. They gave 40mm screws. My base plate is around 3cm, not 40. And for this, I don't know, 40mm screws were included. So my base plate is about 3cm, not 40. And even an Allen key to secure the necessary parts. I think the Allen key is... Yes, exactly, that's for the power connections. So actually it's pretty cool. Everything we need to properly secure the unit is included. What do we have here? We have a Z wiring harness for the speaker outputs. Here are the speaker outputs connected. Then that is our control cable, which means there is actually a T2 remote. And here we have another cable that apparently has never been used. That's probably the high level in... Yes. If you actually don't have a pre-out or anything like that, you can't use it. Let's take a look at this beautiful amplifier. The amplifier is small, so if you take a look at it with one hand, so we're talking about 24 by 15.6 and it's only 4.7 high. That means, yes, it's a very compact amplifier. When I think my previous amplifier in a similar power class would have been something like an Alpine V9, Patex V9. It's definitely much bigger. So it's really very tiny. Weighs. So in terms of mass, we already have quite a bit of material here. It's really nicely crafted here. Once all around with a kind of heat sink. Here we can also see it somehow goes in there. And we have all the connections on one side. That means we have all the connections here that are sub-volume control. We have the different gains of the inputs or outputs we have here. The preins, that means the preamplifier inputs. We have the speaker inputs, the high-level inputs. We have the speaker outputs. Here are our amplifier channels. Once a control pin type. Let's take a look in the manual to see what we're talking about. And here are the connections that can really accommodate proper power cables. That means I would guess now, so 25 shouldn't be a problem there. Maybe even 35 cables. Cool, at power amp we have it here at the bottom. So basically, from the bottom, we've really described everything again. That means we see here the control, we have a remote in-out, and we also have an energy save. Let's take a look at what is... We now have the speaker outputs. That means which channel is from which speaker output. From the speaker inputs and the pre-ins, everything is described. And here we see it again, although upside down, it is an Audison Forza M6D. A really nice, small, heavy, I mean really heavy and super solidly built amplifier. That means I really like the feel of it a lot. Very good. And also the cables. So this is, everything is neat and practical. When I look at the speaker cables, they are 4 meters. So those are really decent speaker cables. That's really, really cool. The change-ins, of course. The equipment here is great too. Yes. And here the high-level cable was probably it. No one has used it, and maybe no one will use it, because it really is a high-end amplifier. Whether you really want to go in directly with high-level without a DSP or anything like that, I don't know. I would definitely recommend installing this amplifier behind a DSP. So first a DSP and then this amplifier, or maybe a DSP amplifier and then this one. I've already looked at a couple of DSP amplifiers. Just search through the channel. There's something there. Yes. And now I would say, let's take a look at the specs of this amplifier, because for its size, it can deliver some serious power. So, what can this amplifier do? 6 channels. 6 channels. And it's very important to mention that they are all bridgeable. That means we can use this amplifier as a 6-channel amplifier. We can use this amplifier as a 5-channel amplifier. We can use it 4-channel or 3-channel. Use a 4-channel power amplifier. Or as a 3-channel amplifier. Why, how, why? So each of these channels can be bridged. That means we can always combine 2 channels into 1 channel. This logically increases the power. The amplifier already has a lot of power. We're talking about each channel having 4 ohms. We have 135 watts available. That's already a good performance. So the amplifier can also, it's complete capable. That means it provides, when we connect a 2 ohm speaker, it offers 220 watts per channel. That means we have 220 watts per channel, a total of 6 times. 220 times 6 is 1320 watts. 1320 coming from this mini amplifier coming out. So let me quickly compare it with the Eaton Mini. Thank you very much. This is an Eaton Mini. It's actually a bit smaller, but if we think about it this way, the Eaton Mini has a total power of 660 watts bridged at 4 ohms. And this one down here can output a maximum of 1320 watts. So, indeed, definitely a useful value. So, if we don't actually go ahead and use these 4 ohms, but rather consider that we want to bridge the channels, then we can do this here. So if we really bridge the 6 channels, we only have 3 channels left. On these 3 channels, we can logically only put 4 ohms. Because when we bridge a channel, we're basically using the 2 ohm capability of this thing, and then this thing has 440 watts at 4 ohms. So clearly 220 times 2, because then 2 channels, blah, blah, blah. So 440 watts, that means the amplifier can output 3 times 440 watts. 3 times 440 watts, that means all of a sudden this amplifier, also interesting for, I'll say approximately 3-4 ohm subwoofers, 3 times 440 watts would work. But you can also run completely different scenarios with it. So, 6 channel, we're super flexible. If we really say we want to use 6 channels, then we have a classic 3-way front system. That means we have 2 channels for the tweeters. So for both tweeters, 2 channels for the mid-range speakers, and 2 channels for the woofers. Then the amplifier is selected. Load from the channels. Stops. If it's a completely normal 4. The OHM front system does that. It's a great thing for the size. Great. Then a DSP behind it and maybe a monoblock for the subwoofer. Great combo. But if we say, okay, I only have a 2-way system and I want a bit more punch on my woofers. No problem. That means we have 2 channels that we normally use with 135 watts for the tweeters. And the other 4 channels that we have, we then bridge to 2. And then we actually have 2x 440 watts of power going to the low mid-range speakers. Also very cool. And the third option we have is that we can also operate a complete system with it. So if we say we have a two-way front system and a subwoofer, then we can normally power the front system with 4x135 watts, and we just bridge 2 channels for the subwoofer. We can power 4x135 watts, and we just bridge 2 channels for the subwoofer, 440 watts for a subwoofer. You can definitely get a lot out of it. Definitely. So I know how much comes out at 100 watts in my smart, and that's already a lot. And 440 watts here. Cool thing, at 4 ohms. 4 ohm subwoofer connected. Awesome combo. Could I theoretically also install a smart? So if I had a separate DSP, I could properly power all my devices with it. We've gone through all combinations of how you can connect them. What I'm still curious about is you can connect them. What I'm still a bit curious about is what does this have to do with energy safe? So we have here, we saw blue-black is energy safe. Where's my manual? 3 hours later. Okay, I can't figure it out. So already here, what it says in the manual is relatively clear, and we can take a look at that here as well. If we have out of off here, then it's basically the detection, whether the radio is on or not. So that means it's more for OEM radios that don't have a remote output. Then we turn this whole thing on. If we have this set to on, then we've activated the automatic detection. And then we come out of the remote out, comes in on the remote, like, if we put it in like this, from the corresponding blue cable, a remote output is then generated. That means we get a signal here when, exactly, the radio is on. If we turn this off here, so then it's very classic. A remote in, that means we need to send a remote signal from the DSP or the radio here so that the amplifier turns on. All's well. But the other one, it's a blue-black cable. In the instructions, we have something about a red cable, energy safe. And red was a self-activating one with 12 volts, like, I assume that something will be output here. Is output when that is in energy safe mode, or when the energy, I don't know, no idea. I'll have a chat with my colleague about it tomorrow. I can see the good colleague from whom the amplifier is, then I'll give him the amplifier back. And then I can clarify it for him again, what that is supposed to be at all. This energy safe. Yes, otherwise. That's actually it. I hope I just gave you a little insight into this amplifier. Cute, sweet, beautiful amplifier. Yeah, I need to take a look. Maybe try it in some combination, maybe in a car. Let's see, I think... Then I would say, I'll check out many other exciting amplifiers soon. Speakers, radios, etc. Subscribe to me. Otherwise, we'll see each other in a few days. Thank you all for watching. You're Thomas. See you later. Bye.